Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Digital Success Hot Seat. As you know, the Digital Success Hot Seat is all about bringing on entrepreneurs and business owners who have started a business because they've got a passion for something that they do and have actually translated that into the online space. And the whole purpose of these videos is to allow people to share their stories, share their wins, share their challenges, and hopefully make you feel that you are not alone, you're not the only one going through this, and that you can actually make a success of your business online as well. So today I'm really excited. I have got Shari Ware joining us today. Shari is an amazing woman that I met probably about 7 years ago when she was a PT, and she's got an incredible story, and I'm really excited for her to share that with us today. Welcome, Shari. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Leanne. I'm excited.
Alrighty. So tell us a little bit about your story. Like you're in the 100 Club, which is a bit of an exclusive club that I suppose not very many people would be in. And you've got an amazing story. So tell us a little bit about the 100 Club and your story and where you're at.
So going back about 11 years now, I was over 180 kilos and I had been morbidly obese for most of my life at that point. I started putting on weight from about the age of 5 and it just continued. You know, I had some challenges in my childhood. I had quite a few things that added up to emotional eating being one of my biggest issues. Emotional eating, self-worth, not feeling deserving, and all of those contributed to me just having a yo-yo of a life with my weight. So I would put on weight and then I would lose some and then I would put more back on and then I would lose some, and that was my life for a very long time. So I found myself about 11 years ago at a point where I was over 180 kilos.
And you're not very tall, are you?
No, no, I'm only about 160 centimetres, so I'm definitely not tall. And I've got short legs as well. So I was very round and very big. And it got to the point where when I would wake up in the morning, the first time I put my feet on the floor, I would cry because it just hurt so much to put all of that weight on my feet. So you can imagine that that's not a very nice way to start the day. That was my life. So what changed was that what I didn't realise for a very long time, for most of my life, I didn't realise that the weight was emotional. I just thought, you know, I listened to what everybody told me. And while they might not have always said it in words, some certainly did, but a lot of people just thought it in their heads, was that I just couldn't control what I was eating. I had no willpower, and it was, why couldn't I just eat the right things and do the exercise? But the issue was that that's not the reason why the issue was the reason why was I not doing those things. Because we all know, I actually use a quote from a book called The Secret Code of Success by Noah St. John to explain this, because it just explains it so well. You can't fix a why to problem with a how to answer. So if we're trying to lose weight, we all know what we have to do. We might not know all of the steps, but we do know at least one or two things that we can change that are going to get us closer to the goal that we're trying to achieve. And if we're not doing those things, then it's not because we don't have reasons why, because of course we want to make those changes. We have lots of conscious reasons why we want to. More often than not, it's because we have, and most of the time it's unconscious, it's a subconscious thing. We've got reasons why we don't want to make those changes. And most of the time it comes back to fear of some kind. So for me, I had masses of reasons why I wanted to release the weight. I had, at the time, 11 years ago, my daughter was about 16. I was literally a walking, talking, ticking heart attack waiting to happen. I didn't know when I went to bed the night before if I was going to wake up the next day. And I had this beautiful daughter that I wanted to see grow up and go to university if that's what she wanted to do, and get married and have children. So you can't tell me that that's not a massive reason why you would want to make changes in your life. So I certainly had that. But what I realised in the end was that I had this really big reason why I didn't want to, and that was, as ridiculous as it sounds, I know that every time I say this, there are so many people out there that just go, oh my goodness, that's me. And it's that I didn't want to have a relationship. I was scared of a relationship because the last one that I'd had ended badly, and I was very, very hurt. So my weight was actually protection. It was my suit of armor, and it worked very well. So it wasn't until I woke up one day and I thought, maybe I don't want to be alone for the rest of my life. Maybe I might like to have a relationship. And that was the key for me. Now, that really big why not I had was no longer there, and in fact it flipped to a why. So I say that I then had massive why power, and I was able to make the changes I needed to make one at a time. That's key, one at a time, to release 100 kilos. So that's why I'm in the 100 Club. And it's certainly not something that most people, and I would hope that there's not a lot of people who actually need to do that. However, I'm living proof that it is possible, and that's the important thing.
So you went on from that. You actually went on to become a PT, didn't you? Because I think that's from the met you were.
Yeah. So I thought, okay, well, I decided, because I certainly had never envisioned 11 years ago that I would end up in the health and wellness space. Certainly never crossed my mind. But of course, I went through my journey and I realised that what I had been able to achieve was something that could help so many other people, because belief is such a big part of it. And if people just believe, oh my goodness, they can achieve amazing things just like I did. So I thought, okay, this is what I'm meant to do. I'm meant to help others. And how I thought I was going to do that originally was become a PT, because I thought, yes, I'm going to be able to help them, because the exercise is such a hard part. But after I'd been a PT for about 12 months, I think it was kind of like face palm to the forehead. And I'm like, oh, Shari, exercise is quite often, or most often, the last piece of the puzzle for the people that I am passionate about helping, the people like me. It takes them most of the time a long time to get to the point where they are exercising regularly. It certainly took me a while to get to that point. And it's not where I started, and it's not where we need to start. I realised that the way I'm best able to help and serve people is to help them with their mindset, help them remove all the subconscious crap that's going on in their head and in their heart. Get rid of all that and help them make mindset shifts, so that
that's the thing for you. I mean, when you think that you literally wake up one morning and go, okay, so maybe I would like to have a relationship, and that was enough to just flip you over to, okay, maybe it's time to drop the weight. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah. And while I wouldn't say it was a walk in the park, it certainly did take some effort. It was so much easier because I didn't have that subconscious block stopping me, causing me to self-sabotage as it had every time before that.
Yeah. Wow. So how do you go from that? How do you go from being a PT, I mean, what you've done is absolutely amazing. What you've achieved by this point is absolutely amazing. How do you go from, okay, I'm a PT, to, all right, now I need to work with people's mindsets, I need to connect with people? How do you transition from there?
First of all, I had to have a very clear line in the sand of when I was ending my PT business, and I had to let all my clients know, which they were sad. I will that they were, and we still catch up to this day as as much as we can. And for me, it was important for me to do that as well, because so many times when we're on our business journey, we try to hang on to those things.
Yeah.
I think a lot of time it's out of fear, or we don't want to let people down, which was such a big part of my life as well. Even all the weight stuff, I spent so much time trying to help everybody else. So for me, that was part of the saying no. So many times in our journeys, whether it be personal or business, that we have to say no. And so that was a very big thing for me, to say no and close the door on that. And then I had to go through a process of deciding, okay, what do I want my business name to be now? What do I want my brand to be now? Because it's different. I was sweat fitness before, that's all about fitness. But now, working with the mindset and also my own personal journey, it's not just about fitness. It's about my new brand is Fab New Body. And for me, a lot of people just see the one-dimensional Fab New Body as in, this beautiful looking body, which is absolutely not what it is for me and for the people that I work with. It is, how healthy is my body on the inside? How beautiful is my body on the inside? How healthy is my mind? How healthy is my heart? Can I look in the mirror and love what I see? Can I look myself in the eyes in the mirror and tell myself that I love me and really truly me? Because when you can do that, then it just makes it so much easier to move through everything, because we're coming from a different place in our heart and our mind to try and achieve this goal. And that's what a lot of people find, is that they start out, and this is exactly how it happened for me. It started out as a weight loss journey. I was very focused on that number on the scales. I just wanted to see that number go down. That's all that was important to me. And then as I went along, it turned into a weight release journey, because I realized that the changes I needed to make needed to be lifelong changes. So I really needed to do a lot of inner work so that I didn't go back to my old ways. And then it turned into a health journey, because Louise Hay actually said it perfectly. Excess weight is simply a physical manifestation of a much deeper issue.
Yeah.
So to be able to move through all of that and get a healthy body, a healthy mind, a healthy soul, a healthy heart is much different to what a number on the scale. It's got nothing to do with what a scale says, what that number is, and it's got nothing to do with the size of the body. I can tell you now, I'm still not the smallest person, physically in my body. However, I know that I'm healthy and I'm fit. And not everybody can say that. Even people that are smaller than me can. Not everybody can say that.
So with that, I mean, obviously, doing a lot of the mindset stuff. With your business, so you've obviously had to do quite a bit online. Like, you have your own podcast. How did that come about? So how do you go working face-to-face with someone or with a group of people and having a business that way, to then suddenly say, okay, we're now working on, I know where the triggers are. I've been there, I've done that. I'm living proof that it can work. This is what we need to do. How did you transition into that online space to start finding new clients with your new business and growing your business?
Well, for somebody who's, I will say, tech challenged, As with everything, it wasn't a walk in the park. However, one thing that I've learned, and this, my personal health journey has been so helpful in my business journey, because what I've learned is that the hardest part is just doing it the first time. And once you've done it the first time, then it just gets easier and easier each time you do it. So I just remind myself of that all the time. It's actually it's opened up a lot more avenues for me by going online. It's actually made it a lot easier in a lot of ways, and the people that I'm working with already have a lot of barriers. So being able to work actually takes away one of the barriers for a lot of people. It makes it easier because they don't have to, quite often they don't like to go out in public because they feel judged. They certainly don't want to go to this big building that says gym or weight loss centre, because that's just, once again, the minute they walk even anywhere near that or through the doors, they're being judged. That's how they feel. So it makes it so much easier. They can be anywhere in the world. They can be in the comfort of their own home, and we can have a conversation and we can help them, one step at a time. So that part's actually been a lot easier. My journey of finding clients, I've learned a lot from people like you. It is one of those, and it's happened right along my journey, both my health journey and my business journey. It's very true. They say when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So, and this is all part of mindset. This is all part of how the human brain works. When you open up, we call it the RAS, the reticular activating system. When you open that up and you start asking how questions, then what you need, because your subconscious is then on board and it's looking for how you can achieve that question that you're asking. People, things, support have come into my world to help me when I needed them. So, I've done lots of different things. I've followed a lot of people online, such as yourself. I've done video challenges because I spent...
They are massive, aren't they? Aren't they good? Like just to get over, even doing something like this is it's huge. Yeah.
That's the thing. And, I spent most of my life trying to hide from the world. And I would still be doing that if I wasn't in the business that I'm in. I'm definitely an introvert, and this business has forced me to get out of my comfort zone on so many occasions, do things like this. And I do that because I know that there's people out there who need my help. So that's why I do it. However, it is not natural. And that's part of the message that I really am passionate about helping people to know, is that this stuff is not easy. It is pushing outside of our comfort zone. However, the more we do it, the easier it gets.
Yes, that is so true. So like for a business owner, or for somebody that's listening to you talk and it's like, okay, this is something that I would love to do. What are 3 challenges that you've found along this journey?
Oh, wow. So one of the biggest things I'm going to say is imposter syndrome. And that's definitely something that I have definitely struggled with. And I will say that I still struggle with it. One of the things is that I'm still not a small person. So to get up in front of people and say, that I help people with a weight loss can kind of seem a bit imposterish, I guess. I don't know what the word is, but you know what I mean. So that's something that I definitely...
You're real.
Yes, that's the thing. And that's one of the things that I say to people is we really need to just focus on us and not compare ourselves to anybody else, because everybody's story is different. And so what I help people with is changing their health or their weight story. What's that story that you're telling yourself? Because part of when we're telling ourselves a negative story, we're not going to get where we want to get to because we're so focused on the negative story. So one of the very first things that we need to do is focus on the positive story. And this is what we need to do in business. So I would definitely say, even if you feel like the biggest imposter in the world, just do it anyway. Because at some point in your journey, and it's going to happen more than once, you are going to have somebody reach out to you and say, thank you. Because when I read your book, or when I saw you on that podcast, or whatever it is, that helped me to change my life. And especially in this online world, so many times we think, oh, we're putting all this content out there and nobody's listening. I've certainly felt like that. And it was so amazing. I had this lady who had jumped into one of my free challenges, and I'd never really seen her name come up before. But she was one that jumped into the challenge, and she really engaged, and she did all the things. And so at the end of the challenge, I reached out to her and I said, look, I'm just wondering, if you got some value out of the challenge, would you give me a testimonial? And she came back and she kind of said, oh, yeah, okay, I'll think about it over the weekend and I'll get back to you. And I thought initially, oh, she doesn't really want to give me a testimonial. Anyway, it was the weekend. I can't remember if it was Saturday or Sunday afternoon, but I get this massive long text message from her on Facebook Messenger. And what was written in that totally blew me away. I didn't know any of this before she sent me this message, and it was only because I'd asked for a testimonial. I found out that even though I didn't know who she was, she had been following me for quite a while. She had read my book, and she'd just been following me on social media, and she had been slowly making changes in her life. And at this point, when she'd come into my challenge, she'd lost 35 kilos.
Wow.
And I had no idea. I didn't even know who she was, but she told me that it was because of what she had learned from following me on social media. And I just thought, oh my goodness, that just really affirmed to me, you do not know who is watching, who is listening. You don't know what you're going to say that is at the perfect time that is going to really help that person. So just keep doing it.
Wow, and that's it's really powerful, like such a powerful message of, you're right. I mean, and especially with Australians, we're renowned stalkers. We love to just follow people. We don't comment, and you might like something, and then you see someone face to face and, oh, I loved it when you did this and you did that. And it's like, oh, okay. That's great. But that's amazing. 35 kilos just by making small changes and just following what you were doing.
Yep, and I hadn't even worked with her. It was just what she had been able to get free online, and she bought an online copy of my book. So,
wow. Well, that sort of makes you jump out of bed differently the next day, doesn't it, when you get something like that?
Absolutely.
That's fantastic. Wow. So with what you do online, you have a podcast, you've got a book. How do people connect with you? How do they reach out to you or work with you? Like if there's someone sitting at home that's, like you said, really uncomfortable going to a gym.
Yeah. So definitely the first step is to reach out to me. I am more than happy for people to friend me on Facebook, send me a private message, because a lot of people don't want to do anything publicly. My email address, if people would like to email me, is info@shariware.com. Super easy. I'm all over social media. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, all of those. So if anybody wants to reach out to me through there, definitely look me up and I'll be happy to help. I have some free groups as well.
It's Fab New Body, isn't it?
Yes, Fab New Body or Shari Ware. You'll definitely find me. You'll see me in a pink top.
Perfect. So just sort of finishing off, for somebody, like I said, who's who's sitting watching this and they're like, wow, so this is a great incentive for me to start my business and what my passion is. What are 2 to 3 tips that you would give somebody that are starting on their online journey, bearing in mind that everything we do now ends up online or no one sees it? So what are 2 to 3 tips that you would give somebody that is starting out?
Okay, so one of the tips is that don't let you tell yourself that something is too hard. Just try it anyway. I kept telling myself that starting a podcast was too hard. I didn't have time, and it actually took me no time at all, really. Yeah. And from it just took me doing the first one that I thought, oh, well, that certainly was not as hard as I thought it was going to be. So just give yourself the gift of, even if you're trying to tell yourself that it's too hard, just try. If you feel that it's something that is going to give value, that is going to give value to your audience and to your business, then just try. And hey, there's no failure. This is the second tip. There's no failure. Even if you do something and it doesn't work, it doesn't mean that it's failed. It just means that you've learnt that didn't work for you. And the third one actually ties into this. It doesn't mean that it doesn't work for you. It just means that it doesn't work for you right now, because our journeys are continually evolving. So, it might not work for you now, but in 5 years' time, when you try it again, your business could be different and it could absolutely work for you. The world could be different. I mean, look at what's happened this year. Everything's turned upside down, So it's just about being open to things changing and changing with it.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. Well, what amazes me about you is the fact that, to have made a massive change and being someone who have been on the yo-yo my entire life. I think I was put on my first diet when I was 12. And my parents had gyms when we were in our teens, and it is a big thing, like especially for women. And then you get to a certain age and it's like your body just has its own ideas anyway, regardless of what you wanted to do. Yep. But like weight is such a big thing. So to go from 180 kilos to where you are, and then to be able to put yourself out there and say to people, hey, this is doable without being judged and without being pressured is phenomenal. So I really admire the work that you've done. I take my hat off to you. It's fantastic. So thank you so much for joining me today. It's been wonderful.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it.
Good. Right. So I know that you would have definitely got something out of that, because Shari is unbelievably inspirational. And if you any tips that you've picked up or anything that you've learned from today's chat, please comment below and please share your thoughts, because it really does help with us moving forward. And as Shari said, when you're doing these sorts of things, you never know how you're going to impact on anybody else. So, if you could share your thoughts or tips or takeaways below, that would be absolutely fantastic. Now, as I said, the Digital Success Hot Seat will be back next Wednesday, and I'm looking forward to sharing another inspirational entrepreneur with you and talking about how you can actually grow and expand in the digital space. So until then, have an amazing week. Bye. Thank you so much for joining me on the Digital Success Hot Seat, where we interview incredible experts about their online journey, their challenges, their tips, what's worked for them and what hasn't. So if you're really enjoying this series, I'd love it if you would just hit the subscribe button below and also hit the bell, so that way you get notified every single time we upload a new interview. I really appreciate you joining us, and let's get on with it.